Belief saves. Baptism follows. Let's slow down and read the verse carefully. Jesus said, "He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned." This verse has caused confusion for a lot of people, not because it's unclear, but because it tests how we read Scripture. Notice what Jesus does not say. He does not say, "He that is not baptized shall be damned." He says, "He that believeth not." That tells you immediately what the issue is. The issue is not baptism. The issue is belief. Belief is the condition. Always all through the Bible, salvation is tied to believing, not rituals, not obedience, not sacraments. Belief. You are not condemned for failing to perform a religious act. You are condemned because of unbelief. That's why Jesus frames the verse this way, because baptism cannot fix unbelief. Water does not deal with sin. Blood does. If baptism saved even partially, then grace would no longer be grace, and that creates serious problems. If baptism saved, the thief on the cross is lost. Paul contradicted the gospel. Salvation becomes a process instead of a gift. That's not Christianity. That's religion. So why does Jesus mention baptism at all? Because baptism matters, just not for salvation. Here's where people fall off on both sides. Some make baptism a requirement for salvation. Others downplay it into something optional and meaningless. Both are wrong. Baptism is important for the right reason and in the right order. Baptism is commanded after salvation every time in Scripture. The order is the same. People believe first, then they are baptized, never the other way around. Baptism is a command, but commands are given to the saved, not the lost. God does not command dead people to obey. He commands people who have been made alive. So baptism is not how you get into Christ. It's what you do because you are already in Him. Baptism is the first act of obedience. Baptism is not a work to get saved. It's obedience because you are saved. A simple illustration makes this clear. Saying "I do" makes you married. Putting on a wedding ring does not. The ring doesn't create the relationship. It confesses the relationship. Refusing the ring doesn't undo the marriage, but it does raise a serious question. Baptism works the same way. It doesn't save you, but it shows who you belong to. Baptism is public identification with Christ. In the early church, baptism was not a casual moment. It was a declaration. It said, "I belong to Jesus. I've left. My old life, I am identified with His death and resurrection." It often cost people their family, reputation, and safety. That's why it mattered. Not because it saved them, but because it identified them. Baptism pictures the gospel. Baptism is a visual sermon. Going under the water pictures burial with Christ. Coming up pictures resurrection with Christ. You are not dying in the water. You already died at the cross. You are not rising from the water. You already rose by faith. Baptism doesn't make something happen. It shows what already happened. That's why Scripture presents baptism as a picture, not a power source. Where religious systems go wrong, religious systems always make the same mistake. They turn symbols into saviors, obedience into conditions, pictures into power. Once baptism becomes part of salvation, anything can be added, and grace disappears. Final clarity: baptism is important. It is commanded. It is meaningful. It is powerful as a testimony. But it is never the cause of salvation. You are saved by believing. You are baptized because you believed. Get the order right and the gospel stays clear. Get it wrong, and you don't just lose clarity. You lose the gospel.